Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan the Ride Mechanic channel. How the heck are you doing? I am Tom. No, wait. I am the gatekeeper. Wait, no. Keymaster? Nope, that's not it either. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm Ryan the Ride Mechanic. How the heck are you doing today? Thank you for coming back and watching another video, or if it's your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you. Listen, today, didn't really know what to do. I'm sorry about it. Been busy all week, so here I am, Thursday night at almost midnight, trying to record something to release on Friday. Completely didn't plan or prep for this. Sorry, and I'm sure it shows, you know. But realistically, I just didn't. Was so busy with work and stuff this week. I just didn't feel like doing anything. And I thought I'd upload something that was probably just going to be complete crap for you. Sorry. What are you going to do? Complain about it? Right? Here's an idea. Hey, why don't we talk about guest complaints? Let's talk about guest complaints. Come on.
Now get ready. Here we go.
Like I said at the start, thank you for coming back and watching another video. If you're new to the channel, where the heck have you been? This is probably the coolest channel that you're not watching. If that's the case, you need to like and subscribe, tell your friends about it, family, everybody else. Whether I'm right or wrong, doesn't matter. Still a cool channel. You should go tell people about it for sure. So today I wanted to talk about guest complaints and what we do with guest complaints when we get them. One of the things I saw a couple weeks ago come up was this video that circled or kind of cycled around out there about a girl riding around on a roller coaster, and she said her restraint came up. So let's look at that really quick. One of the things I should tell you real quick is that when I got this video, they were using background music in there, and YouTube doesn't like that at all. They think we're trying to do copyright infringement stuff. So it's going to be interesting, but I basically dubbed over it with Siri voice.
So, I'm at a Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey with my friends, and we go on a roller coaster. That's what we do right at Six Flags. And midway through the ride, the restraint that is holding down in the roller coaster, you know, if you don't die, it completely pops up. So I'm
Completely pops up. Wow.
flipping out, and now I think I'm gonna die. I'm on a roller coaster and I have nothing to hold me down. I'm holding on to the restraint, pushing it down. The person next to me is holding down the restraint and pushing me down. The ride comes to a stop. Thankfully it wasn't going like upside down at the time, so didn't die. I get off the ride. I told the attendant, like, hey, while I was on the ride, my restraint completely popped up, and I had to hold it down, so I didn't die. She goes, oh, I'm sorry. So I stand there waiting for a second, because you know, I was expecting her to say something else besides sorry. And so I'm like, well, now what do I do? And she goes, well, the exit's that way. Went to get
The exit's that way? Best ride operator ever. That's great. The exit's that way. Oh my gosh. That I would have paid money to see that on camera. Like the exit's that way. Oh my gosh.
best relations to complain, and my life is worth a snack voucher for dipp'in. I'll be enjoying these later.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't normally jump on top of parks like this, but Great Adventure handled this one wrong, man. I don't know what the heck to say. I mean, geez. You can't give away Dippin' Dots. It just doesn't work like that. That's an expensive product. You can't do that. You can give away pizza, soda, popcorn buckets, capes, sure, do whatever. Even the infamous, the one everyone asks for everything, no matter what, you can give away a funnel cake. Whew, man, parks don't like giving away funnel cakes either. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of revenue right there. But Dippin' Dots, oh my gosh, I handled that one wrong. You do not give away Dippin' Dots. If there's anything we've learned from this particular video breakdown, whatever you want to call this, it's you don't give away Dippin' Dots. You just don't do it. The Dippin' Dots stay in inventory. Oh my gosh. Oh. Holy crap. Okay. I still can't believe that this person actually got Dippin' Dots. Wow. Must have been a traumatic event. So let's look at this complaint and talk about it for a second, because this person says that their restraint came open. Now, I'm really sure it didn't, because that really just, it doesn't happen much. I've heard other people talking about this one. They said it was on El Toro, which was hydraulic restraints, which they don't open up like that. An older style ride, something like a Vekoma that still uses ratchets to hold the restraint down, they can do where, have you ever pulled a restraint down, and when the restraint down, you hear go ratchet down, it's going click, 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 and then you get that last little bit. My wife calls it the safety click. She likes the restraints to be extra tight. So I'm always sitting in the next seat. I'm trying to like elbow the restraint down for him. Like, come on, get down that last click. Come on. You ever get that last little down in there, but you don't hear the click? That is when the restraint paw, the tooth, and the cam, instead of latching, they go like this, and they go right on top of each other, just like that. And they're pushing perfectly right on that edge, and they're pushing as hard as they can in there. And they're just waiting for a nudge. Now, the majority of time, that nudge comes on the first drop, because this is obviously, if it's bound like that, which is a mechanical bind, if the restraint's bound like that, that means it's already working hard enough as it is. But typically, when you go that first drop and you get that G-force down, your body compresses, right? You get that like, everything compresses down. And that is when you get that is finally able to unload. And the majority of times, since everything's going down to start with, the restraint also comes down with it, and it finally goes underneath, and you get that last click. You ever do something like that where you come back and the restraint's way tighter than when it started? That's that effect right there. It has the ability to go the other way, though, where you said, I've got that restraint down, it's got nice firm pressure against my chest or my belly, depending on how you're built, no matter what it is. So, or my case, it's always my shoulders, right? I sit in like a Vekoma boomerang, and the restraint collar is like almost straight out because it's just wedged on top of my shoulders because I'm a tall guy. So what happens is that sometimes it works the other way. Sometimes you're going in a negative area. Like, let's say it survived the drop and you weren't that compressed in the drop, but you go up into like a corkscrew. And now you have a slight bit of negative pressure that's also doing a pounding motion to you, but you're going up. Then that guy goes the other way and it slips backwards. Now, is there a problem? No, it simply just went to the next tooth up instead of the next tooth down because it was mechanically bound in the center of the two teeth. Is the restraint still locked? Absolutely. You're going somewhere? No, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay right in your seat. You're buckled in, you're locked in, you're fine. Don't worry about it. If you don't know this, though, obviously if you're watching this channel, you know this because you are way above and beyond most people. But most people don't know this. They don't watch this channel. which means you really have to share this channel with other people. That's what it means. So most people don't understand this. So what happens is they feel that click up, and I've experienced that click up myself. When they experience that click up, they just for sure in their head, that restraint has fully unlocked. And that is now, you are now on a final destination ride of just death and dismemberment. There's sparks and puppies and everything flying off of this ride, flames shooting out the back. I mean, the whole world's going to come to an end. And what did we not do? We still haven't gotten rid of Dippin' Dots. Again, don't give away Dippin' Dots. I don't know why you would do that. Ugh. Sore subject. I know. I'm going to come back to it. We're going to put that away. We're going to put that right there and put a pin in it. Boop. We're going to come back to that thought later. That's what we're going to do. So when one of these complaints happens, inside that person's head, no matter what you can say or do, that thing fully came open on them and they were about to die, no matter what. You cannot stop that story that is permanently ingrained in that person's head, okay? So what do we do about that? Well, it depends on the person themselves. A lot of people have this happen to them. They get off the ride and they don't say anything at all. So nobody knows about it. If you didn't say anything about it, it wasn't that traumatic to you, so it wasn't obviously necessary to bring up to the next person, okay, or the crew. So this person got off and they said, hey, this happened to me. And the crew basically just ignored it. And they said, oh, okay. Exits that way. Bye-bye. And the reason they probably did that, now I can't speak for sure, with the crew and all that stuff. I can't say what actually happened. But the reason why that would happen at most parks is because that person just got off the ride and they said, they got off the ride and they walked up to the operator and said, my restraint just came open and I almost died. You hear that tone in my voice? Or my restraint just came open and I almost died. What does that tone in my voice say to you? Doesn't say anything, right? One of my favorite things to do on YouTube, aside from watching roller coaster videos, is I love watching paranormal videos. I love that stuff. I think it's so fun to watch. But you can tell in those videos when you're watching, there's millions of fake videos, and I believe a handful of real ones out there, right? So you could tell in those videos when people are genuinely scared because the tone in their voice changes, the way they act change, the breathing becomes sporadic. It is seriously a traumatic or stressful experience, right? If you had this experience on a ride and you truly thought that that thing was going to kill you, you would get off that ride. You might not even get off the ride. You might just sit there in a state of shock. And you would be shaking, your voice would be trembling, and the operations crew wouldn't even have to talk with you. They could just look at you and say, they could just look at that person and be like, something is wrong with that person. I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong with that person. They're good at spotting that sort of stuff. So sounds like they did not get any of those indicators from this person. So this person just like, my restraint opened up. And it's like, yeah, and the exit gate opened up too. So get the hell out. So they just did that. And they're, okay, so this person, they didn't feel their complaint was honored or justified at all. So they went to guest relations. And guest relations, their main job is to passivate people. That's simple enough. Most of the time that's true. If you've had a bad enough experience in the park and you've worked up enough like F this place to go to guest relations over it, most of the time it is simple little gestures that could turn everything around and get that person's day back to normal. And that's what guest relations is trying to do. They're not trying to shut the person up or hope, well, hey, please don't make a video about this or anything like that. They're simply just trying to make that person's day better. Okay, so that was this scenario. Let's look at another scenario, ones we commonly ran into, where people got off the ride and they were in that state of shooken up. And they're like, okay, something happened. Okay, so what does operations do at that time? It's up to the operations. It's up to how they want to work things, right? A lot of parks have small procedures built around this, but not much. So a lot of times at the park I worked at anyway, what happened if operations felt it was a legitimate claim, they had some options. They could not load that train, not load that row, not load that seat, depending on how legitimate they felt it was. Most of the time it wasn't, they didn't load that row, but sometimes they would shut the entire ride down. And they would say, oh, okay, what seat were you in? And the person's like, I was in this seat. By the way, this is fun. These traumatic experiences that happen like this, you get a person out and they say, my restraint just came open on this ride. It's like, oh my gosh, what seat were you in? I don't know. Which side of the train were you on? I was on that side of the train. It's like, okay. And then out of like a train that's 8 rows long, right? You say, well, what row were you in? Well, I don't remember. Well, were you in the front, the middle, or the back? Oh, I think I was in one of these 2 rows. Okay, this is a likely scenario where you would unload the entire, where you wouldn't load the entire train, because now you have an affected area of restraints instead of just one restraint. So they're like, okay, might need some help investigating this one. So operations will choose not to load that seat, that row, that train, or maybe shut the ride down altogether and have maintenance come out. It's like, okay, guest complaint. Go up there, and then it's rare, but sometimes the guest is still there when maintenance gets up there. The majority of times, the guest opts not to. They leave their complaint with the crew, and then they leave, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's the standard thing, is the guests leave because they got other places to go, other things to do. So when we get up there, we say, okay, what's going on? They said, okay, train number 2, row 4, seat 2. Something like that. Like guest said, the restraint popped up on them while they were on the ride. It's like, okay. So the first thing I do is I go back to that train, that row, that seat, and I go, unlock the restraints, which a lot of parks, I notice it's not a universal, but a lot of parks do this. It means unlock the restraints because, you know, hearing's hard out there. So they go unlock the restraints, and then I open that restraint all the way to its max position, and then I motion, go lock the restraints back down, and then I'll use a B&M to start with. I'll say, okay, I'll listen to a B&M restraint, and I listen for on the way down. As it starts going down, I go listen for that click, 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 click. It's like, okay, I got my 8 clicks. That's good. And they all sound crisp and nice. What I don't want is I don't want taps. I don't want erratic sounding things. And I don't want quiet clicks, because that means that that mechanism is not giving a nice snap. That means that mechanism is just kind of like, yeah, I'm here. All right, that's not a good response for a restraint. We don't want, yeah, I'm here restraint. We want Johnny on the spot restraints. So we're looking for that nice click all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I got them. Say, okay, open the restraint back up. Lock them back again. And now I'm going to do a jerk test. I'm going to go down, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. So now I'm physically pulling back on that. And then the last step is I'm going to go back around to the back of the seat and take the seat screws off and pull the hood off. And then I'm going to have them open the restraint. And with the restraint open and then closed, I'm going to start pulling on the cams individually and feel for nice free movement. Make sure there's nothing chipped or loose on the inside, like, I don't know, somehow something got in there somehow. I don't know what would get in there, but I don't know. A squirrel gets in there and completely loses its nuts. Right? We've all seen Ice Age, right? They can carry that nut around and put it inside. What were you thinking of? Stop. Get your mind out of the gutter. Jeez, I'm talking about a squirrel losing its nuts here. Come on. Anyways, something could get inside and jam that mechanism up and prevent it from working properly. So we want to check for things like that. Another one that's a little more chaotic to do are the Vacomas with 2 ratchets. Like a boomerang has 1 ratchet, 2 teeth on it. So you can hear it going down, and it gets pretty even. It goes click, 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 click. They're kind of easier to spot. You could do the same test with them. The SLC that I worked on all the time, which is very common with SLC, it's a dual ratchet. So it uses a ratchet with 2 paws on it on one side and another one on the other side behind you. So it's actually going, and they're rhythmic too. They actually go in there and they go 4 ratchets like this. They actually go click, 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 click in that order. Click, 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 like that. But they're not evenly spaced. They actually, that restraint has more, if you listen to it, it's more of a gallop. It's more of a like that. So you're looking, now I'm listening for, now I can't get a rhythmic count out of it, but I can listen for that gallop if I speed the restraint up a little bit. And then again at the back, I take the seat back cover off, I look at all the mechanism, I say, okay, yep, everything looks fine. If there's 2 ways that this happens, sometimes they shut the ride down and clear the station. It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it is. So we go up there and we're just like, yeah, okay, everything's working fine, restraint works fine, we're good, open the ride back up. Other times, when the station is full of people, we have to do a little dog and pony show. We have to get out there and we have to be like, look, yay, we just checked it, everything is fine. Because now people in the next train's worth of people are just sitting there going, what is wrong with this death trap of a ride? Like, oh my gosh, the mechanic is now up working on a restraint? Like, oh man, what is going wrong here? Now the easiest way to, I'm going to use the word passivate again, the easiest way to passivate this situation is to simply, once I'm done with checking that restraint, I am going to get on the ride and ride around. That's easy. I always like a second mechanic there when I do that, simply because of the fact that when you do it solo, I always have this theory, this thought in my head that operations is going to F with me and then like stop the ride while I'm out on it. Like hang him up in the block brakes, walk just clunk, ride stop, and then I'm sitting in a train by myself in the block brakes for like another 15-20 minutes until the next mechanic can come out and start the ride back up. I've come across some malicious operators that kind of do quirky things like that. So I'm always the type of person that's like, I want another maintenance guy here while I'm out riding the ride just to keep the crew in check. So I'm like, yeah, someone else come out here while I'm riding this thing. And then the tough part there is you have to, you have to de-maintenance to get on the ride. So you say, oh, what do you think? It's like, okay, so if you've seen my other video about like all the tools that we have when we go out to a ride call, you can imagine I get the seat put all back together. It's like, okay, I'm going to get on that ride. All right, so what am I going to do? It's like, well, first thing I'm going to do is actually take my name tag off, because that's magnetic. Take my name tag off, set that there. Then what? Then the pin, then the tweaker, then this, then that out of there. It's like, okay, then what? Then I'm going to take my keys out of my pocket. I'm going to take my wallet out of there. I'm going to take my phone out of the other one. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take that out. Oh, reach around the back. It's like, oh, remember that pocket of 10 millimeter nuts that were sitting in there because I was just working on a train back in the shop? Yep, take all those out, set that down there. Take out my notepad and paper and set that down over there. All right, what else? Anything else? Nope, I think that's it. I can go on the ride now. Take all this crap off and set it over there at the operator panel just to get on the ride. But it really does work with people, because once you come back around, because now I'm on the ride just waiting for my 2.5 minutes to be over, right? Because I've ridden this ride now 15,000 times, and I'm just riding, and it's like, yep, okay. And then you come back, a lot of times the station claps for you. They go, yay! It's like, I know, I rode the ride. I'm so awesome. I rode the ride, yay! But it's okay. Get off, open the ride back up, let it go. Now, working at an amusement park for 14 years, we actually had a new piece of equipment, a new roller coaster, and it opened up in June, I think, and then it was early June it opened, and then early July, not the 4th, of course, but, or was it? It was close to that weekend. It was really busy. Early July, we get a call for Restraint opened up, and we're like, man, what is this now? So we have to take these a little more seriously, because it's a new ride. We don't have the history with it that we do with these other rides, right? It's a new ride, and it was a prototype ride too. So it's like, okay. So I send my lead out there at the time, and I say, hey, go out there and check that. He says, okay. He goes out there and checks it. And then I get a radio call. It's like, hey, can you come down here? Sure. I'll come down. Yeah, I'll be right there. Okay. I get down there, and I'm going, what's going on? And he says, the restraint comes up. What do you mean the restraint comes up? And he's like, I checked it, click, 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 got everything on it, right? And then got on there. And then where it was locked, he says, when I went past this one element, it went click back up to the next tooth. I was like, really? That's interesting. So we had we asked him at the time. We said, can you clear the station? So they just pushed the people backwards out of the station area down the stairs, because when I work on stuff like this, when we're actively like troubleshooting a problem with something, I don't like people watching what we're doing, just because I want to be just, I don't want people watching what I'm doing. And it's like, we are working with restraints and things like that. It's like, if I do find a problem, I don't want people recording the problem, because that's just the standard mentality for parks and stuff like that. You don't want to broadcast the information right there. So we push the restraint down, and we do the, we go 1, click, jerk it back up, 2, click, 3, click, 4, click, get around to like number 5. You go number 5, click, and it goes back to 4. Holy crap. Look at that. Okay. So we did it a couple times. We checked it back and forth. I'm like, all right. Okay, so I walk over to the crew, and I say, clear the ride. Clear the whole ride altogether. The ride's down. Clear it. Okay, so they announced that the ride's down indefinitely, so they turn all the queue away, and they go close everybody back down. And I'm calling out the maintenance manager, I'm calling out the maintenance director, and I'm like, we're already starting to take stuff apart, because they are coming out and they are starting to call the ride manufacturer, because it's just like, this ride's like not even 3 months old, and we're going to have this problem with it. Let's find out what's going on with this thing. So we found a bunch of wear on components that shouldn't have been there, and stuff that they said should have lasted 10 years didn't even last 3 months. But the metallurgy, everything was correct there, so there was some issues going on with that. But the manufacturer was really good about it, and they actually changed the material composition, everything, lubrication schedules, and got everything replaced. And they actually did it very quickly. Got all the components and all the restraints completely replaced, and they shipped us brand new stuff. We were down for a couple weeks when that happened, but they shipped us all new stuff. And then of course after that, we watched that stuff like a hawk. The restraint box had to be taken apart and checked. It was on a monthly when we got the ride, and we were doing that daily after that. We were watching very carefully. So that was one of those weird times when it's like, that was in fact the only time I could think of where that actual guest complaint was legitimate. And funny enough, that was also a ride that did not have seatbelts as a secondary. You know, most trains you get in these days, they've got a seatbelt you got to put on first, and then you close the lap bar. Well, this did not have a seatbelt on it either. But then after that, guess what we got? We got seatbelts. That was another pain in the butt, but that's fine. That's in the past. But we got seatbelts for that. So, yeah, so that's some of the stuff we do for when we get guest complaints. So we kind of take it with a little grain of salt, but we do investigate it. We do find out what happened, and we do attack each one and figure out if there is a problem or not. We look for repeatability. We look for anything that might cause some sort of issue, whether it is or isn't at the time, you know. And that's about it. I think the video is long enough as it is, and it's late enough as it is, so I'm going to go get some sleep, and I will see you guys on the next video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who know my sign off here, you know how it goes. Stay off the air gates. Bye.